Melissa forms in the Caribbean Sea and hurricane watches are in effect for Haiti. And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical Weather Bulletin for October 22nd. Well, right now around the world we're looking at quite a few systems still active at this point, but the main feature today, the main news, is that Tropical Storm Melissa has formed in the central Caribbean Sea to the south of Hispaniola, and the National Hurricane Center is forecasting a hurricane. There are also two other storms active right now, Shenge in the southwest Indian Ocean still looking good, and Fengshen, which is also not doing too badly either. It's day 144 of Atlantic hurricane season, and Melissa is still quite exposed right now. Most of the convection is out towards its east. We'll have a proper look at it in a moment, but a hurricane watch in effect for part of Haiti and a tropical storm watch in effect currently for Jamaica. It's going to move very slowly northwards over the next few days. In the Eastern Pacific, we've still got that one area of interest which we've marked P10, giving it a 40% chance at this moment in time. Could become a tropical cyclone moving generally out to sea. In the Western Pacific, of course, we've still got Fengshen right now, which still triggers a blue typhoon warning for Xiangmen and for eastern Hainan. Also an area of interest that we've marked just off the coast of Taiwan. Invest 97W, 30% chance, doesn't have very much time. In the North Indian Ocean, we now have three areas of interest marked. The one that looked like it was going to develop in the Bay of Bengal looks like now that it isn't, because it's making landfall in India, in the Tamil Nadu region, and to its east there could be a system developing later on now. Models starting to pick up on that potential next system. In the southwest Indian Ocean, Shenge is still holding strong, which means that potential impacts for Agalega, the Seychelles, northern Madagascar, and even as far west as the mainland of Africa coming up in the next few days. Keep watching that. L10, a system down there as well, also known as 95S, still a moderate chance of development for that one. South Pacific still looking pretty quiet. Big frontal system there extending across the Solomon Islands predominantly, and its energy shooting down towards the southeast. So this is Melissa, our estimate right now, 45 mile an hour winds, pressure 1002 millibars, currently located at 14.1 north, 73.9 degrees west. As of 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, this October 21st, it is currently 286 kilometers from Cabo de la Vela in Colombia, 456 from Le Cay in Haiti, 487 from Cabo Rojo to the east, 496 from Morant Bay in Jamaica, and 518 from the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince. The National Hurricane Center's 5 p.m. forecast cone showing the expected trajectory, and it's extremely uncertain still at this point. You can clearly see that there. And this graphic I thought might be helpful. Earliest reasonable arrival time of winds, suggesting there that it may arrive with those storm force winds on Wednesday. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you're always in touch with the latest tropical cyclone updates, as well as following us on social media. And you can also join our Discord server for tropical weather chat at any time on discord.gg/force13. Again, that will take some getting used to, the new format there, me being interrupted by myself. Well, let's take a look at the satellite imagery. First of all, a quick look at Fengshen there, which is just off the coast of Hainan, looking very interesting, it has to be said. The convection is really there. We'll talk about that in a moment, though. This is Melissa. The western side extremely bare, the eastern side throwing up chunks of convection here and there. It's certainly a lot more impressive over there. However, Recon earlier on was struggling to find really strong winds, really, and possibly not even supporting 45 mile an hour winds. It is struggling a bit, it has to be said. Looks pretty dry on that western side. Convection is really struggling to blow up near the center, and it's going to be a slow process for Melissa, I feel, at least in the next 48 hours. Certainly, I think it will catch on. Models suggesting that the next 48 hours will be a gradual process for Melissa before strengthening may pick up as it starts to turn northwards. Well, this is Fengshen, which is still quite a confusing system, it has to be said, throwing some strong winds up towards the coast of Hainan Island. Convection is displaced from the center. The center itself is all over the place, very elongated, and yet still some pretty strong winds occurring in there. Probably had winds of 65 miles per hour earlier. We're giving it 60 right now, which is the same as what we gave it earlier today, and I think even last night. Well, it will be slowly moving towards the southwest, towards the coast of Vietnam. Will there be anything left of it by the time it arrives? I think so. Looking at this, I think it's doing a little bit better than expected, but we do expect that it will drop off a cliff pretty shortly before it reaches the coast. You can just about see it there on the radar imagery, looking well towards the right-hand side of the screen. Some banding reaching Hainan. Unfortunately, we don't have a better view than this at this point. This is Cyclone Chenj over the last few hours. Daylight fading into nightfall there, and you can see how the storm's been progressing generally westwards. The convection's been blowing up. The circulation got away for a little bit earlier on, but it's back underneath the convection, I think, again, in those latest frames, or at least partially. So it's looking quite good. I would give it 60 mile per hour winds right now, and in terms of pressure, around 988 millibars, making it the deepest storm out of all of the ones that are currently active. As mentioned, heading towards Agalega, which will be its first port of call, could still have winds of 40 to 50 miles per hour by the time it gets there now, because it has done much better than expected. This is Invest 97W, the system that's hugging the coast of Taiwan and throwing right a bit of convective thunderstorms over the southernmost Ryukyu Islands of Japan. A very interesting appearance on this, trying to get itself a circulation. If it does somehow form, it's going to be very sloppy and very short-lived. It's probably only got 24 to 48 hours max. And Invest 92A, the system in the Arabian Sea that we're giving still a low chance of development to, looks like a center relocation possibly, if it has a center at all. It has moved a little bit eastwards now, and models have picked up on that. And most of them now expecting the storm to track northwards towards the coast of India, and could go on to affect that region later on and maybe even develop. There's Invest 93B, the one that we were thinking might end up forming in the Indian Ocean, the Bay of Bengal. Well, it didn't quite happen and is still not going to happen. It's moving inland now over India, so it looks like that one's done. 10% just in case, but convection blowing up, and so there's going to be some pretty heavy showers right now in a few spots. Invest 95S, this is the one that was near Indonesia, now moving well out towards the southwest over open waters, not affecting anything right now, but still a 40% chance of development over the next 7 days. Could become a maybe not short-lived system, but a weak system as it slowly progresses westwards across the South Indian Ocean. Wide shot of the Atlantic showing everything that's going on here. Obviously Melissa is the main focus, and you just see how broad the system is. The convection well off to the east of where the center is. You can just about see the center poking out there on the left hand side, and that's quite a wide scale. And this is some radar imagery as well. We can't see the center on this unfortunately, but we can't really see much, to be honest. It's zoomed out so much, but a crude representation there of what some of Melissa looks like from Puerto Rico radar and possibly the Dominican Republic there. Eastern Pacific, you can see the ghost of a potential tropical cyclone. That was that 10% low chance that we had, that's now, we have scrubbed it, 0%, moving out towards the west. You can see from those high clouds just east of Hawaii just how strong the wind shear is in that area. Here's some water vapor imagery of the Western Pacific as a whole around the Philippines, and you can see of course Fengshen still looking good but rather disjointed, as well as that other Invest. And this is the Bay of Bengal, really looking like there's a lot of rainfall in the area, but very little in terms of organisation, which, to be honest, is quite normal for that region. Arabian Sea, not much better, with the Invest, of course, that we're watching, 92A, still not doing very well. Southwest Indian Ocean, the success story right now. Cyclone Chenj still progressing towards the west and still with quite a large wind field. Don't forget, it is still so early in the season down there, and yet we are 4 storms in, 3 of them named. Australian region, water vapor imagery, you can see the other Invest there on the left hand side near Indonesia. Australia itself looking relatively dry, although a front moving across South Australia right now. And the South Pacific, a few frontal systems active there as well, progressing easterly. Sea surface temperatures remain piping hot across the Caribbean Sea and beyond Hispaniola if Melissa makes it across into the open Atlantic. Of course, it may not even go that way. It may go further west towards Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, where sea surface temperatures are well above 30 degrees Celsius, pushing 32. Off the coast of Mexico, temperatures looking good there as well, 30 degrees plus. That potential invest later this week, chances are that it's going to be around 28 degrees Celsius, higher earlier on. Western Pacific looking good in the Philippine Sea, still over 30 degrees Celsius. For Fengshen, it's around 28 degrees, maybe a little bit higher when it reaches the coast of Vietnam, but it doesn't seem to matter. Bay of Bengal looking relatively good there too, 28 to 29 degrees Celsius. Arabian Sea though, not so much further west. Invest 92A would be wise to stay further east. And looking at the total anomalies around the world, this is compared to average. The reds are above average, the blues are below. Indian Ocean, generally towards the west, it's a few spots of below average, but further east it's above average, especially in the southeast Indian Ocean leading up to the coast of Australia. The Western Pacific is certainly much warmer in the higher latitudes. Eastern Pacific still feeling the La Nina effects, and the Atlantic, Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico above average by up to 3 degrees. Oceanic heat content in the Western Pacific is also still looking very good at this point. Don't forget, there is still ample amount of time for the Western Pacific to really put on a show. We've seen some strong late October, November, even December typhoons of Category 5 plus. And in the Atlantic, the oceanic heat content is looking extremely good where Melissa is right now, so it's really up to the storm to pick up on those extremely strong signals of conductivity for the storm potentially developing. So the GFS computer model over the next 5 days, the storm takes shape a little bit better there in that 2-day period, and then it turns quite strongly northeastwards, making landfall along central Hispaniola into the Dominican Republic, and off it goes on the other side, slowing down again, restructuring a much larger system. But don't forget, this is just the GFS model. The National Hurricane Center is taking in a more of a centralized spread of the models and is calling for the storm to move gradually northwestwards towards Jamaica. Fengshen dies out pretty quickly, as you saw there. Looking into the Bay of Bengal, that potential next system, well, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be very disorganized and very broad and large there if it does develop. But there it is as a substantial tropical storm within the 5-day period on the GFS. Other models haven't really picked up on it as much yet. I think at least one has. It might have been the CMC, I forget. But that's a GFS scenario there. And looking at Chenge down there as well, looking good as it continues to saunter westwards, almost on a straight line trajectory, pretty much over Agalega, passing just south, delivering tropical storm force winds to Madagascar and for the Comoros Islands, and then moving towards the coast of Tanzania, where it could make landfall there as a tropical depression still at that point, if the storm holds firm. 92A in the Arabian Sea looking up there as well, briefly becoming a tropical storm off the coast of Gujarat, India, and the other invest down there in the southeast Indian Ocean also possibly developing. Rainfall expectations, if the GFS scenario comes true, looks like this, but you can pretty much apply that rainfall chart to anywhere that the storm tracks. Pretty much anywhere that the storm tracks, whether it ends up being Jamaica or Cuba, we're looking at rainfall amounts of at least 20 to 25 inches if the storm is moving so slowly as expected, and it does strengthen to what we expect it will strengthen to, which is probably hurricane status. Look at some of the rainfall amounts offshore towards the northeast there, over 40 inches of rain, 1,000 millimeters, and nearly 8 inches there in Puerto Rico. While in the longer range, we're continuing to watch Melissa absolutely balloon in size to enormous proportions, major hurricane status as well before it gets ripped apart and turns post-tropical. There was also another system there. I can't quite tell if that is going to be tropical or subtropical or anything, but there it is near the Azores. Something to watch there, right near the end of October. That's about 7 days out that it peaks, and then Melissa really steals the show. Extratropical cyclone racing up towards Iceland and Greenland. very large tropical cyclone there in the Bay of Bengal, eventually moves up towards a landfall in West Bengal and then into Bangladesh. The next system on the left-hand side as well, of course, is still the one that we're tracking, 92A, getting even broader in those later parts and trying to make another go at tropical storm status there. Really messy situation and quite a soap opera in terms of watching that one for days on end by the looks of things if the GFS
Check
has
out
its
our
way.
store page for Force 13 related merch, as well as our full season and individual storm animations on request by you. Also, if you like our work, please check out our YouTube memberships. Check the join page on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/force13/join.
Well, let's take a look at the fantasy range, looking at the Western Pacific for it tonight, and it is taking a look at potentially 2 tropical cyclones, a very broad system that tries to develop as it approaches the Visayas region of the Philippines, eventually might become a tropical storm, and then a typhoon that forms out of a non-tropical low, I think, there, near the Mariana Islands, becoming quite a substantial typhoon as well, but don't forget, this is very long range, pretty small and tight there as it does strengthen in a very odd position and direction for this time of year, for any time of year. Well, let's take a look back at what happened on October 22nd, 2018. Do you remember it? We covered it. It was Hurricane Willa. It reached Category 5 intensity in the Eastern Pacific. Another very powerful storm from that season in what was a very memorable Eastern Pacific season. Tropical Storm Vicente was also active off the coast of Mexico, but was really struggling as a 40-mile-per-hour storm. On the horizon, Tropical Storm U2 was also active, and we all know what happened to that one. That became one of the strongest storms of the year across the whole world, moving through the Mariana Islands as an extremely destructive Category 5. Back to today, the next name in the Atlantic is now Nestor. In the Eastern Pacific, it's Sonia, and in the Central Pacific, it's Lala. 87 storms so far in 2025. We're going to reach the average, and I think a few more besides. In the Western Pacific, Kalmegi is next up on the naming list, and in the North Indian Ocean, it's going to be Mantha. We are still code yellow on Ticos right now, which is quite substantial, mainly for Melissa. The Australian region, the next name is Fina. In the Southwest Indian Ocean, it's Dudzai, and in the South Pacific, it's Ermil. We'll be back with another tropical weather bulletin tomorrow night, and we have our automated stream covering Melissa on our YouTube channel live.